Good evening. How are you? Well, it's a kind of day. It's kind of wet out. It's kind of unpleasant, and it may rain at any moment. And I've been pretty busy today, so I haven't been able to take advantage of the sunlight we did have during the day. It's 70-something degrees. I believe it was 77 when I last checked, and the humidity is 82, and the wind is. It says 3.2 miles an hour, but again, I don't feel any wind at all. So what's going on today? I think the focus continues to be, because of its practical and symbolic importance. That is, are we seeing the breakout of the military control of America by these bogus presentations of troops in California? Now, Hegseth, our defense secretary, is sending 700 Marines into LA. He claims to protect federal property and personnel. And these people are trained in a combat and crisis response time. And when I hear that kind of thing, and these are Marines, remember, I think of Kent State. I think of how badly that went wrong when many of us who were around in those days were shocked and found it hard to believe that troops would shoot at civilians protesting, in that case, a war that ultimately was found in many respects to be false and to have misled many men and women who served, who believed what they were told, as did the public here at home. So we have Hegseth sending Marines there, and this is sort of like security on steroids. The Marines are armed. They're not being given any rubber bullets to shoot. They have helmets, shield, and gas masks. And here it's interesting. They have gas masks, but no tear gas, they claim. I think the claim of no tear gas, I think that's a lie. And they're authorized for self-defense, meaning they're only supposed to protect federal buildings. Now, do you feel stupid? I don't. Do you believe for a moment that that isn't just a bogus pretense so they can put their hands on the people when they think it's appropriate to control the crowd and to make and bring the confrontation to a point where they can complain there's such an emergency to send even more troops in there and to justify the march toward monarchy that so occupies every waking moment of Trump's life? So, do you think they're trying to fool us then when they say it's about protecting buildings? Now, they can't legally put their hands on any civilians. They have no law enforcement right. Posse comitatus is the provision that says we can't have military operate in the United States, but that's what they're doing. And the defiance so far has been met by the cowardly silence of people on the Hill and elsewhere. People are told to protest, but not so much. And so what do we have that's helping the thing? That is helping us get to the point where we're actually fighting back. Now, in the past, we've seen attorney generals across the United States, state attorney generals, mix into it. And Governor of California, Newsom, he called what Trump is doing the deranged fantasy of a dictator president. Absolutely true. And in fact, when they're talking about how long these people will be there, they're saying 60 days. Imagine that. Well, California is suing over the National Guard being called out by the president when it should have been, if at all, by the governor of the state who thought it was unnecessary. Now, there's a provision in the code, 10 U.S.C. 12406. And what it requires for the National Guard to be called up is an invasion or a rebellion. We don't have either of those. And you would think Trump would be an expert on this because he had an insurrection. He had a, quote, rebellion. He had a coup. So he knows what it is. But this is part of his revenge cycle. He doesn't care what the truth of the facts are. He only cares to amass power so he can hurt and harm. And I think maybe cruelty is almost more important to him than having power for any other reason. So what are we to do? Well, we support the governor in California. We support other governors who've spoken out in support. We, when we can, to the extent we can, we support court cases and demonstrations and rallies and protests because, believe it or not, they hear that shit. And that scares their cowardly bodies into doing something in action. But that's where we stand today. And the other things that are going on are important, but they pale by comparison with the notion that our nation could come subservient to a mangled, mad, bloviating president of the United States like no one before. We've never had a criminal, a felon like him in the White House. We've never had a person who had so little regard for all the people in America. We never had a president who knows so little about the subject matter to be a president. We've never known a man who has no sympathy, no empathy, no caring for the people of America, no caring for the tradition that is America. So, those are a few of my thoughts today. I'm wandering around these fields because I was trying to avoid the rain, and I think I've done that. So that's a success. So nice that you could be with me, and I say goodbye from my nearby cathedral of trees and talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.